Well, the not-so-friendly skies. First up, the United Airlines flight was forced to make an emergency landing, this after the plane's windshield cracked midair. The incident happened on Thursday. The United flight was traveling from Denver to Los Angeles. It was cruising at 36,000 feet when a layer of the cockpit windshield suddenly cracked. The pilot made a safe emergency landing in Salt Lake City. National Transportation Safety Board is investigating what caused this crack. And next up, an Air China flight bound for Seoul, South Korea was forced to make an emergency landing in Shanghai. Why? A lithium battery inside a passenger's carry-on luggage bursted into flames. The cabin was immediately filled with smoke. There were 160 passengers and crew members on board. 2 flight attendants sprinted down the aisle with fire extinguishers to put the blaze out. According to Air China, no one was injured, and the aircraft sustained no structural damage. Meanwhile, 2 are dead after a cargo plane veered off the runway in Hong Kong. An Emirates Boeing 747 cargo plane was landing at Hong Kong International Airport when it skidded off the runway, landed in the South China Sea. But it's not just a plane that landed in the sea. It turns out as the plane was landing, it collided with a security patrol vehicle on the runway. The collision also pushed that vehicle into the water. The 2 airport staffers in that vehicle were killed. All 4 crew members aboard the cargo plane, however, escaped and are safe. Meanwhile, November 4th, 2025, it's just around the corner, and it's a big election day. First in the New Jersey governor's race. The current governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, is not running for re-election due to term limits. So that leaves Republican former New Jersey State Representative Jack Ciattarelli is facing Democratic New Jersey Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. Recent polls have Sherrill leading by single digits, so this is expected to be a tight race. Now moving to the New York mayoral race. You may not live in New York, but this is a race you want to watch. Democrat New York State Representative Zohran Mamdani, Democrat former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Republican founder and CEO of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa, are in a three-way race. Recent polls have Mamdani in the lead, but now the Democratic frontrunner is taking some heat for this picture you see on your screen. It was taken on Friday. Mamdani is seen posing with Imam Siraj Wahhaj. Why is this picture so controversial? Wahhaj is an alleged co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. He's also been linked to other terrorist activity in the United States, including urging jihad on New York City. Wahhaj has denied any connection to terrorism. And now, a blast from the past. Today, former Biden White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about the Democratic Party and their treatment of former President Joe Biden. Here's that exchange.
What you said in this book is you're angry at the people who tried to push him out.
Yes, that's correct.
Some Americans are going to say, seriously?
But not just the party that pushed him out, the party as it's behaving today in this moment when we need a Democratic Party to be fighting, to be an opposition party. And that really what ignited the book. Right after the administration, I was just minding my business, right? No longer a public servant, going to the grocery store, going to my kids' school. People would come up to me, and strangers, and they would say, what's going on with the Democratic Party? Why aren't they fighting? We knew what was going to happen after this election. Why are they not prepared? I'm very much aligned with the values of the Democratic Party, and I understand what it means to have a third-party system and how that can. I talk about the history of third-party candidates in presidential. What I am saying is I want to start a conversation, and I feel like I am now a private citizen, and I have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And if I could be from the outside pushing and saying, hey, this two-party system isn't working, there are millions of people, not just me, millions of people who are part of the independent party who feel like they're not seen.
Chairman of CPAC, Matt Schlapp, and former Special Assistant President Biden, former press secretary to the First Lady, Michael LaRosa, join me. Mike, I'll give you a pass on Karine Jean-Pierre because she's probably a friend, unless you want to say something about her, or you could take a pass.
I won't. I'm not a coward. I don't take passes.
No, it's not being a coward. She may be your friend.
No, she is a friend. She's a friend of 15 years, and I like her personally. And we worked together for the first 2 years and traveled the world and the country together. I just have a different point of view on what took place, and I expect her to take it personally because she was there at the time. But from the outside, when I was on the outside and she was still on the inside, the Democratic Party was fed up with a candidate running for re-election for over a year who was simply not running or engaging. And that debate was the end of a discussion, no longer the beginning of one. So I disagree with how she views everything. It is because of what President Biden did to the party. That is the reason why we lost.
Matt, I think I caught you laughing when I struggled with the Republican candidates for governor of
Jack
New Jersey.
Cicarelli.
I don't know why I can't get his last name. I try so many times. But anyway.
It's okay.
It's
and
okay.
the mayor of New York has when your last name's Schlapp, you give people grace when they don't get names
Okay.
right.
All right. What about the New Jersey governor's race? And why should I care if I don't live in New Jersey?
I don't want you to shock you, but Karine Jean-Pierre is a friend of mine as well. And I don't know what she expects the Democratic Party to do. Donald Trump is using his power aggressively, as Democrat presidents have done before him, and there's very little Congress can do about this, except shut down the government, which is what they're trying. And so, now the question is, Trump has more political power than any Democrat leader I've seen on the globe in my life. It's a lot of power, and he's using it very carefully because he had 4 years of experience when they tried to do everything they could to stop him corruptly. And so the question is, will he be able to flip states like Virginia and New Jersey, which are now blue states, and the races are tight. They're still tough to win. It's going to be tough to win this race in New Jersey, but it's tight.
Why should I care if I don't live in New Jersey who wins New Jersey?
Well, I mean, the problem in New Jersey is like, how much crime do you like and how much taxes do you like?
But what does that have to do with me?
Well, you don't live there.
Yeah,
but
I know.
if you do live there, a lot of Democrats, 25% of the tax base fled New York City, not just because of crime and drugs, just because taxes are out of control. This is where the socialists fight with the old liberals in the Democratic Party. There comes a point where you just can't do business in a jurisdiction because the taxes and regulations are out of whack, and that's the problem they have in California.
The New York mayoral race, Michael, to me is like something that people should care about, even if you don't live in New York, because it really does tell you something about the Democratic Party, with so many Democrats endorsing him, some that don't, the mayoral candidate. And he certainly says a lot of controversial things, and he certainly has not been, I don't think that a lot of Jewish citizens in New York are enamored with the things he says.
Sure. He's not my cup of tea. I wouldn't vote for him, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to vote for him. But I thought the biggest tell was last week when President Obama cut 2 ads here in mid-October for the Democrat running for governor of New Jersey and the Democrat running for governor of Virginia, but didn't cut one for him and didn't endorse him. And I think that tells you everything you need to know, the reason why.
But what happens when he, what's the message of the Democratic Party? Is there a particular one if he does win in November?
I think God help the Democratic Party if he wins. I mean, if the Republicans are good, if they are good at what they do, they will be tying Mondani to every frontline congressional district, every marginal race in 2026.
He'll become the face of the party.
They will make us own him in places like Green Bay, in Allentown, in Scranton, in the suburbs of Denver.
We use Appleton here, not Green Bay, but anyway.
Sorry about that. But those congressional districts that are very purple, that's where they would, if they were smart, they will be tying Democrats to him directly. And hey, that's.
But they've also got. Didn't Schumer endorse him? I mean.
Yeah, but that's a different dynamic, which you have these leaders who have been in office for 40 years, and they have to look to their left, and they are all worried about primary challenges from the left, who are channeling what Karine Jean-Pierre is saying, which is, why aren't Democrats fighting, which is a ridiculous charge. But anyway, so Schumer's looking at a primary, AOC, people talk about, so he's got a tack to the left. And look, this is a very dangerous game. Bill Clinton famously took on a racist rapper, Sister Souljah. There are times when a politician has to separate himself from the insanity of those who think they're in your coalition.
But the problem that the Democratic Party has, they really, this sounds terrible, but they need to have Trump fall and break his nose, basically.
It's not happening so
it's
far.
not happening because they need an issue. I mean, even the demonstration, the protest this weekend, is that all these people are protesting, but they didn't have an issue. They said, we don't want a king. But you've got a guy who has been using the courts to win things. He just won a big thing in the Ninth Circuit today, sending troops to Portland.
A big peace deal.
I mean, he's using the system. They just don't like the result.
That's correct. It's totally true. And if you think back 20 years ago, we were in the same spot, the Democratic Party. President Bush was president. He controlled the Senate, the House, the Supreme Court. We were in the same exact position. And really, recruitment is everything. We were ready for the mistakes that the Bush administration was making in 05 and 06. We were there. We were ready with TV reservations.
He went from like a 90% favorability, an extraordinary number, Bush 41, and then all of a sudden he tanked.
Well, they both did that. They both did it on the same issue,
President
right?
Bush took on
It was
Social Security.
Well, it was national security, and they popped, right? And then over time, those efforts were either not as important or became more unpopular, and then other things started to set in, and Republicans are not good at sticking together, and over time...
Neither are Democrats.
Well, maybe Democrats are acting a little bit like Republicans in this. Usually they stick together better. And, this is what the midterms are all going to come down to, including these races.
But
is President Trump seeing as having a good effect on people's lives and the economy? And that's why these races are tight in Virginia and New Jersey.
And Clinton taking over after Bush 41. It was extraordinary, I think, at the time.
But a third party, Ross Perot.
Oh, that's right.
That
About
was a big
19% of the
dynamic.
vote. Yeah,
and we were in a recession, which didn't help 41. Remember, the economy affects our politics more than almost any other issue.
But Bill Clinton did what Abby Spanberger unfortunately didn't do in that Virginia governor's race, and she had a real opportunity to put this race away. Now, she's going to win, and she's probably going to win pretty handily, but I think that's only because there's a weak opponent. But she could have said to the Jay Jones situation, the attorney general situation there with the guy who sent all these crazy text messages, she could have withdrew her endorsement. She wasn't going to lose anything. She would have gained votes by doing that.
Well, Virginia will make some of its own history. No matter who wins, first woman governor in the state of Virginia. Matt Schlapp, Michael LaRosa, thank you both very much. Coming up, a new warning about the common item in your fridge.